stop and acknowledge the grief and the loss that their team members are feeling.
Sure. I think that's such a great point. Often the leader is visionary. Mm-hmm. They only feel the excitement. They're happy to be getting maybe into a different situation because it's something that what I'm thinking is very often the leader already has gone through all of the emotions because they have already thought it through, and now they're popping it on their team.
Exactly. And you have that at different levels, right? So you have a CEO who has processed through, gotten feedback from a team, really discerned through a decision, made a decision in their own mind, gotten through those steps, and then they bring their leadership team in. And then the leadership team goes through those same processes, and they're like, okay, come on, we're going to go make this change. Well, what about all the other levels? You're down to your lowest levels of employees who also have to go through those steps of acclimating to that change. But then you've got all these tiers of leadership that are all headed forward and like, why are you dragging your feet? Why is this so difficult? Well, you've had a month, you've had 2 months, you've had a year to process this change, and I've had 10 minutes to process this change.
Yeah, that's. I think that's such an important point. Probably good for me to remember in different situations.
Have you made any changes here at the radio station since you got here, Andy?
You know, when I first came to the radio station, I think I could tell this now. We've passed the statute of limitations, but a year ago we did make some programming changes, and some people called in, and they were dealing with it just like you said. And so we decided to not use the word change when we're talking to anyone. We said we're just going to use the word updates.
Yes.
Because part of the thing in radio is, particularly when you're a new radio station manager, and particularly when it's Christian radio, everyone's going to judge you by the change that you made. Mm-hmm. And they're nervous because it wasn't just a change in programming, it was a change in station leadership. Mm-hmm. And are these new guys, do they have a different worldview than what we know? And can we trust them and all of those things? So we decided we weren't going to use the word change, just update. But probably we should have just said change.
Just change, yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying that this is something that you've talked about in C12.
Yeah.
How does that work in the business forum when you come together and discuss this kind of thing?
So C12 is an international organization. There are over 4,000 members of C12 worldwide. We have forums across the United States and in countries including Taiwan. We've got one in Kenya and quite a few in South Africa. And actually, we have a forum that meets in Ukraine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so we come together each month, and C12 headquarters provides a curriculum that we go through in the morning together. So we will do typically a devotion, a business segment, and a ministry segment. And those segments, the topics are set out a year in advance and are really specifically targeted towards issues that business leaders are facing in this season. And so change could be one of those topics that we look at any given year.
Right.
And different aspects of it. It's not like they're not recycling any of that material, but we might look at handling communication in a crisis situation one year, and then the next year talk about a different aspect of recovering from a crisis situation. Right. And so we spend the morning really digging into that curriculum and answering questions, questioning our forum members of how have you done this well, how have you done it poorly, and really learning from each other in those areas.
Sure. So as you're meeting as a group of 8 or 10 or 12 business leaders, I would assume in every meeting, there's at least one leader that's going through some type of organizational change.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You show me the leader who's not going through any kind of organizational change, and I will show you a business that's not growing.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah.
So if you are growing, you are experiencing change. It's just part of life, and it's part of business life. And one thing that you said something a minute ago that brought to mind is that one of the challenges of being a Christian business owner is just like you being the manager of a Christian radio station are under more of a microscope. Christian business leaders are held to a higher standard.
Yes.
So as you navigate change as a Christian business leader, people aren't just going to say, oh, did he manage that well? They're going to say, did he manage that well for a person of faith?
Yeah.
And would a Christian behave like that in the midst of change? Would a Christian leader kind of trample my feelings of how I feel about this change in the midst of processing through that?
Right. And I was met recently with a Christian business owner, and we'll say he's doing construction. It's kind of in that sphere. And he pointed, we were sitting in his pickup truck at a site, and he pointed to his dashboard, and he had a leather-bound Bible, and he said, anyone who comes into this company knows that this is what this is all about. And I tell them that from the very first day. And I found that to be interesting for the very reason that you're saying is, if you say that on the first day, you're held to a higher standard by your employees.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So when it comes to change, what are some of the types of change that an organization goes through?
So there's leadership change. There is structural change. So I was at the helm of a company several years ago that went through a major shakeup, and we had to completely change the business model. So where we had been selling online for a decade, we had to look at a way to sell our products locally. And so it meant completely changing all of our processes, changing our team structure, changing how we evaluated team members. So all of that, you can have change. One of our members just recently moved into a new office building. And so that creates change, even just a change of space. Even if it's good, it's like, oh, well, I really liked my view out the window of the last office, or, now I'm sharing an office with someone that...
I like the gray wallpaper and the maroon carpeting.
Yes, that's right. The indoor-outdoor carpeting was just the top.
But now it's something different. Quite a bit over the past year about churches going through transition, and particularly leadership change. But it's important also to dig into as a business. What are some of the principles that are just good to be mindful of?
Yeah, I think one really important thing is to prepare people for a leadership change. And at different times as I've into other companies or other positions, one thing I have tried to prepare the people under me is whoever steps in is going to do it differently.
Yeah.
And so helping your midst of that change, because the last thing I ever want is when I step out of a leadership position, I don't want people saying, well, that's not the way Tiffany did it.
Sure.
I want saying, hey, we're open to new ideas. And so just really preparing people really well as much as possible. When you transition leadership, doing something bought a blow up inflatable torch and had a flashlight in it, and I passed the torch to the incoming manager who took over the company. This decision, I'm behind this person, I believe in this person, and your team's going to have more confidence when they see that you fully support that transition.
Yeah, as you're sharing this, I'm reminded of what a Christian leader when it comes to leadership transition. And I don't know if this is fully right, but it's a great thing to remember. He said, when the change comes, it's not going to be better and it's not going to be worse, but it will be different.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's true.
And just so that everyone on the team kind of begins to understand that. And I think that would be true in a business, in a nonprofit organization, in a church.
Absolutely.
We were just with a couple pastors from Restoration Fellowship here in El Paso, and they were sharing how when it came to the transition from the pastor who had been there for decades, a lot of people were expecting the new pastor to act just like the pastor had been there for decades. And that was a big part of their messages. We're different. Yeah. We're not that guy. That guy's fantastic, but we're not him.
Well, and I would challenge your Eastern European friend and say there will be some things that are better and there will be some things that are worse.
Right.
But the universal thing is that it's going to be different.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yes, that is, I think, a unequivocal truth in change management.
Right. Yeah. So we're talking about the changes that the organization goes through. What are some changes in the world around us that are affecting business right now?
Okay. So tariffs have been a big topic in the last year. And no matter where you come down from a political or geoeconomical position on tariffs, they have changed the industry.
Sure.
And they have impacted almost anyone who's selling something, and probably most businesses are affected in some way, because if you are a business that stocks your break room with food, or you buy furniture for your office, you're paying more for that now. And so there's very few businesses that haven't been impacted by the tariffs, but understanding how to communicate with your customers, how to communicate with your team, how to adapt and change your business model if needed as you deal with those realities. So that's something that a business didn't choose, but it was kind of inflicted on them because of the world around them.
Yeah, it is interesting how something like tariffs really do affect so many different types of businesses. We recently had someone with a furniture business here, and he was saying how much tariffs affect furniture. I was shocked the first time some months ago. I was looking to update for the radio studio, and there in the invoice was an item. It was like, this is the cost of the tariff.
Yeah.
And so you're saying that you come together and you're talking about how do we communicate this with the customer so they understand. Like, what are we trying to help them understand? It's not our fault.
I think helping them understand, I mean, the last thing you want to do is try to sneak something in. I mean, I'm glad that organization actually line itemed it out, as opposed to changing your price without talking to you.
Right.
And then you get an invoice and you're like, wow, this has cost me $100 a month for the last 12 months. And suddenly it's $110 and nobody talked to me about that.
Right. Just the communication aspect.
Yeah, that's a great way to get a lot of angry phone calls.
Yeah. So there's the tariffs. What are some of the
disruptor?
Yeah, it's so interesting. AI. I think up until I'm just going to come up with a year ago, I didn't really understand how disruptive it was. Or listening, they might say, well, that's that new thing. It doesn't affect me. But it will eventually catch up to you just like it did to me.
Yeah.
So how is that affecting business?
So because of AI, was able to go from a staff of 12 to a staff of 4 without decreasing his revenue. And in the course of that, increase his profit. And he saw this changes where they're out using AI tools rather than, they were the product line level employee, and now they're out doing the strategy instead. So he was actually able to really equip the employee.
But he invested in them first so that they could find good work elsewhere.
Exactly. And it was a mutually beneficial, because he needed time to transition, and this particular business, don't try that. That it would be a poor way to handle change management, right? You try one thing at a time, but he has, over the course of several years, who's an early adopter, and he has been able to really revolutionize his business. Now, not every business, if you're running a dry cleaning business, you need hands for him, and he's very interested in a trade and looking at those jobs that are impacted in a lesser way right now by AI. But regardless of what you're going to do, it's like when the internet came out, running away and being like, oh, it's a fad. No, it's here to stay. In some capacity, it's not going away. So being someone who embraces it and learns it and understands it is just going to put you ahead in any position that you do.
Absolutely. If you're just joining us, we're with Tiffany Etterling. She's the chair of C12 Business, what do we say, Business Forums?
Yes, that's perfect.
In West Texas, and I'm just going to say New Mexico. Okay. Most of New Mexico. Yeah, most of New Mexico. What's your quick elevator pitch on C12? What is C12?
We provide confidential peer groups for Christian business owners and CEOs where they can come to learn how to build a great businesses for a greater purpose. So great businesses for a greater purpose. So
taking
it's not
that Sunday faith
to your Monday life. That's
there
right,
we go.
Andy. Sounds like something we talk about on the 323 podcast.
Yeah, so she's also the host of the 323 podcast that airs on this radio station each Saturday morning at 10 a.m. That is, I want to talk a little bit more about that later on in the program, but we do need to take a break. Before we go into the break, this is your daily reminder that 915 Talk is listener supported. It is a production of Desert Voice Media. The website is desertvoice.media. And also, as we reach the end of the year, I just want to say a huge shout out and just thank you to all of you who have given throughout the year, who pray for us, who listen, and also those who are just including us in your year-end giving plans. And I know that for many people that is their part of their annual calendar for financial planning is that year-end giving. And I know you have a choice of where you send that money. So if you do consider what we're doing here, we'd truly appreciate it. The donate button we made really big and green, and it's on the website desertvoice.media. Thank you so much for considering that prayerfully. We're going to go into a break. Do not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
915 Talk is listener supported and is a production of Desert Voice Media. That's right. It's people just like you who make this program possible. Together with Desert Voice, you can learn how to better serve our neighbors and pray for our community. To become a Desert Voice Media partner, you can visit desertvoice.media. That's right. That's the website, desertvoice.media. Take a look and join us today in reaching our Borderland for Christ.
Have you ever wondered what it might be like to connect your Sunday faith with your Monday work? Hi, my name is Tiffany Etterling, and I'm the host of a brand new program right here on KELP called the 323 Podcast. Colossians 3:23 says, "Whatever you do, do it as unto the Lord." Through stories and conversations with business leaders and difference makers, the 323 Podcast equips listeners to honor God in the way they lead, create, and serve. Because in everything we do, our work can reflect the one we serve. Join me each and every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. for the 323 Podcast, right here on KELP Radio.
What an incredible year. We're looking back on 2025 with a grateful heart and an eye for a wonderful 2026. Together, we've seen Cornerstone Broadcasting expand into more of the Borderland with new local programming, a more broad listener base, and new technology to serve you even better. How? Well, it's your generous giving that's been the key. Your love for this ministry and our neighbors keeps God's message alive and vibrant. We're winding down 2025, and as we do, would you remember us in your end-of-year giving plans? It'll make a big difference in keeping local Christian programming on the air, and we're continually updating behind the scenes to bring you the best sounding station we can. Give now through December 31st, and we'll count you in. You can just look for the Cornerstone Broadcasting link at KELPradio.com or call 915-779-0016. And thank you from all of us at El Paso's Christian Station, KELP.
We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
We are back, and you are listening to 915 Talk. I'm your host, Andy Freckett. Today we're with Tiffany Etterling. She's of C12 Business Forums and the 323 Podcast. What's up with all the numbers and letters?
It's a lot of numbers and letters, isn't it?
So the 323 Podcast airing on this radio station each and every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. And it's also available, of course, in podcast form. So people can look it up on Apple Podcasts. Yeah, so look for the 323 Podcast.
You can go to 323podcast.com.
Oh.
And you can find links there as well.
All right, so 323
Saturday morning.
Absolutely.
Support your local Christian radio.
All right, so what is the vision of the 323 Podcast?
So it's a place for me to engage with leaders and business. I really love talking to business leaders about how they pursue excellence in their business life. and how their faith impacts the way they lead. So that's really what we're doing on the 323 podcast.
That's great. And who are some of your recent guests?
So on Saturday, we had Amy Minhares from Caring Companions.
Caring Companions, shout out to KELP Radio, Impact Partner Caring Companions.
Great partner of this radio station, and she's just a really incredible leader. And she has grown a tremendous business. And one of the things that impressed me most about our conversation is that she has an number of employees because she believes that is the size of business that she can steward well while taking care of her people and taking care of her customers. That I can really steward and shepherd well, where so many leaders are it's just about grow. And they don't pause to go, is this growth good for my people? Is this growth good for my customers?
And so is it good for me?
Yeah. Is it good for me? Yeah. Like in our own work-life balance, do we have balance? So I was really impressed with that. And
hear more about some of your guests, but first we have Charlie One on the phone, Tiffany. And we're going to hear what's going on the roads. Is this your favorite part of
It's my favorite part. And it's holiday season, so people are just naturally crazy on the roads.
We're here just south of I-10, right across from the Cielo Vista Mall, and the mall traffic today is off the chain, as the kids say.
Yeah, it was for the 20 minutes you were shopping today.
Yes,
it was very busy.
I parked very far away, which saved me, I think, a lot of time. Charlie One, what are you seeing out on the roads this afternoon?
Well, when you were there. And it's kind of calmed down. It's thinned out and everything. Earlier, I could see that Hawkins, Viscount area, even McRae area, kind of very congested on the freeway. But it's all calmed down. I think everybody's done with their shopping until the next days. But with the stroller spot that we have right now is I-10. Well, actually, Gateway West, after Lee Trevino, we have installed Big Rig, taking up the right 2 lanes. So you have to kind of go around that. That's Gateway West after Lee Trevino with that stalled 18-wheeler. Also, we have a lot of traffic congestion here because it's construction. And we're talking about I-10, those Mochis, Vinton area. Both directions, they have barrels up and just narrowing down of lanes here in Mochis to Vinton. Then also, we're typical struggling of traffic, I-10 Escopia through the Reynolds. That's to be expected right there. Andy, back to you.
Charlie One, Christmas is coming up next week. For the Christmas season, does TxDOT take down the barrels so that we don't have to have any traffic?
No. That's they're not taking down barrels.
I thought that'd be a great Christmas present.
Oh no! They're gonna be working, and I got those for next week. I got those construction sites ready to go. But they're gonna be busy again. They're gonna be busy with their maybe they get paid overtime or something. I don't know, but they're gonna be busy next week with those construction sites. They're not letting up at all.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Charlie One, today we have Tiffany Etterling with us. She's with C12 Business Forums, and we're talking about how different organizations navigate change, particularly for business leaders. And change can be scary. That's what we're talking about. And in the middle of a changing world, there is one constant that can bring us comfort, and that would be a bowl of menudo. Where would you recommend folks go to try that stable bowl of menudo that brings peace and comfort to our lives?
Yes, sir, and that's that delicious bowl of menudo called the poor man's soup.
Yes,
and also it stands, it signifies family and community. But you can find it very delicious menudo. They're open at 7:00 in the morning tomorrow, and Mi Pueblito Cafe, 3123. But I got to mention one thing though, Andy. On Christmas Day and on New Year's Day, there's very limited construction going on there. They do give the workers there some breaks there too.
That's wonderful, and giving us as the motorists a break as well. We appreciate that.
That's true. Yeah, it's not too bad on Christmas. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Charlie.
Thanks, Andy.
Yeah, we'll talk soon. Bye-bye. And we're back with Tiffany Etterling. We've been talking about businesses going through change. Before we get into that some more, tell me about one more of your guests from the 323 podcast.
So let's see here. We also spoke with Linda Gonzalez 2 Saturdays ago.
Okay.
And I just can't tell you enough great things about Linda. She is a retired leader. She's spent her career at UTEP and at EPCC and has served so many ways in our community. And she recently stepped out of retirement to volunteer as an interim executive director for a local nonprofit that had an absence of a leader.
Oh, wow.
And she has stepped in and stepped up as volunteer executive director.
Wow.
And she's working so hard, and the way she leans into her faith, as someone who is doing something she could be on vacation and at home and just enjoying her retirement, and here she is serving this nonprofit. So I would encourage you to listen to that episode and hear about how
Fantastic. Again, the 323 podcast at 10 a.m. on Saturdays on KELP. So that's tomorrow morning.
That's right.
That's
It's
tomorrow
Friday.
morning. Yeah, from 9 to 10 a.m. we have the Trading Post.
Yes.
El Paso Facebook Marketplace. They can call it and sell and give announcements. It's actually a great community building tool. I love it. I always love it. And then right after the Trading Post, we have now the 323 podcast, followed by Faith and Finance with Rob West, which is truly one of our audience's favorite programs. But we love the 323 podcast because it's local, and we believe that business can be done as under the Lord, just as Colossians 3:23 says.
That's right.
Yes. 4 P's, Tiffany.
So the 4 P's, we've been talking about change management,
Right.
And every business goes through change, but a lot of times as we go into the new year, business owners and leaders have great ideas that they want to implement.
Right.
So strategic planning is something that a lot of businesses do in fourth quarter, and they
Yes.
decide to us, where are we going? That often involves change. And so there is a book called Transitions, Making Sense of Life's Changes by William and Susan Bridges.
Okay.
And
Staff here at KELP Radio would have been very grateful if I'd known the 4 P's when I started working here.
yeah, I think they would have. I think they would have.
So
They're
let's
like
hear what they are.
a day late and a dollar short, but it's never too late to start handling change well. So the first one, they are, I'll just tell you what they all, I'll give you a preview. So it is purpose, picture, plan, and part.
Okay.
So those are the
Part?
part.
Okay.
Which I'll
All right.
get there. So purpose. Why do we need to change? So if people don't feel, if they feel you're constantly making change for the sake of change, that's really hard to follow, and people are going to get really frustrated. My why is trust, and I've known a couple people who part of what drives them is finding a better way to do things, and those are really hard leaders to follow because it feels like they're constantly looking for a better way, but you can get whiplash, right?
Right.
And it's like, okay, we just got used to this way, and now you're telling us there's an even better way. And those are important people to have on your team, and they can be great leaders. But if people don't understand why a change is necessary, it's going to be really hard for them to follow you.
Right.
So the first thing you do is you cast a vision of what is the purpose, what is the problem we're trying to solve.
Right.
So that was something I remember learning in persuasion in college is, you have to present the problem first. What's the problem we're trying to solve? And once people understand, oh, I get it, this is a problem, then you want to go into picture.
Okay.
And picture is where you're casting the vision of what it's going to look like when the change is done.
Okay.
So, if you're a interior designer, you want to you don't just go in and start changing someone's house. You cast a vision of what it's going to look like so people get excited. So that way, when there's construction dust and it's halfway done, people, they might be frustrated, but they keep in their mind that picture of where we're going. And they're like, okay, I know we're going to get there. So right now, while it's messy and dirty, I can handle that. I can handle that because I know where we're going.
Right.
And throughout the process, you have to keep reminding people of all 4 of these things. So it's not you tell them once and you're done. Throughout the process, you say, hey, remember the problem we were having?
Yeah.
Remember how, not functional our break room was and no one could get to the things they wanted. Oh, yeah, I remember that. And remember,
Are you talking about KELP Radio right now?
No, I was just pointing at your break room, but it was a hypothetical. It was the first thing that came to mind. Well, think about all the rewiring you've done here in this building, right?
Yeah.
You've changed so much of the technology in this building. And I'm sure there were points in that process where it was like, wait, why are we doing this? And you're like, hey, remember those times we weren't able to air?
Remember that time that we had a computer literally have smoke come out of it?
Exactly. That's a great example. Remember how that kind of stunk up the office?
Yeah.
We don't want that.
Remember how scared we all were?
That's right. And you remember this vision I cast where you're not tripping over things in your sound booth? That's where we're trying to get. And so people it renews them. So then you go into the plan. How are we going to get from point A to point B?
Sure.
Because any change, it's not just like, okay, we're going to hire a new CEO. Mm-hmm. A, B, we're done.
Yeah.
No, there are all kinds of steps involved in that process. And so what is the plan? What's the roadmap that we're going to follow? What's the battle plan to get from point A to point B? And then finally, part. So what is my part in this change?
Okay.
So how do I help facilitate this change? Do I have a job in this change?
Yeah.
Or is my part to be a cheerleader and just be like, yes, team, you've got this. You can make this change. But every person involved in your organization needs to understand what their part. So those are the 4 Ps.
Yeah.
Do you remember what all 4 of them are?
Yeah. Purpose.
That's right.
Picture.
Yes.
I forgot the third. The fourth is part.
That's right. So plan is
Plan.
the third.
Okay.
So purpose, picture, plan, and part.
And,
the 4
and
Ps of change.
one of the things that I think I heard you say throughout was just this idea that you continue to communicate throughout the whole process.
Yeah.
And that's one thing as a leader I've sometimes not been careful to do is everything makes totally sense in my mind. So I assume everyone else understands through, I don't know, telepathy.
Yeah.
So it is important to not just have one big meeting where you explain everything, because especially when it comes to big change, there's very little chance that everyone fully understood what you were talking about in that first meeting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you need to continue. Communication is a job that's never finished.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So let me see if I got it now. So purpose, picture, plan, and part.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You're totally equipped for your next big change.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that you mentioned earlier was a lot of leaders can just love change for the sake of change. Yeah. And so it is important to really understand, is there actually a problem?
Yes.
Is there really a problem other than your board as the leader because everything's working wonderfully, and just being okay with things working wonderfully for just a few minutes before coming in with another change?
Well, and I think this is one of the great things about having a community like C12 or some peer group of business owners who can kind of question you, because your employees might not feel bold enough. You might not have a relationship where they can be like, is this just change for the sake of change, or do we actually need this change? But when you're in a group like C12, when you have a group of peers, those people can challenge you and say, hey, remember, you just redid your logo last year. And now you're telling us you're hiring a marketing company to do your logo again. Why do you need a new logo? Well, I want one. And so having people who can question you on that is really healthy.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to go to a C12 meeting, and I found that to be super valuable just to observe how the business leaders there really remembered what the other business leaders had said, and in a very loving way. It was like just even cheering someone on. Someone was talking about how they had gone through some type of challenge, and everyone already knew about the challenge, and they're like, you've done it, and just holding each other accountable, but also other leaders who understand the magnitude of these types of decisions and are there with you in it. So if you're just joining us with Tiffany Etterling, she's the chair of C12 Business Forums here in West Texas and New Mexico. It can be lonely at the top, but it doesn't have to be.
That's right.
And Tiffany, the C12 Business Forum, this is where we talk about KELP Radio Impact Partners. So today we're going to talk about C12.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So
that's convenient because I'm here.
Well, I thought that through. So it's not really for startups.
No, C12 is really for more established businesses. So, for example, businesses that have 10 or more employees. Typically, a C12 business is doing over $2 million in revenue per year.
Yeah.
While that's not always the case, that's generally the type of business that's going to benefit most. There are great resources. If you're a startup out there and you need some resources, I would love to chat with you.
Right.
A C12 business forum might not quite be the right fit for you today, but the goal is to get you to that point where you're ready for a C12 forum.
Yeah, so C12 isn't for everybody.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah, it's not for me. Sadly, someday.
Someday, Andy.
Someday, right?
Yeah.
Right, Mac Daddy Del Norte? Yeah, he's got a big thumbs up from him. So if people want to learn more about the C12 Business Forum, here in El Paso, they can go to C12. So it's the letter C, the number 12, borderplex.com.
That's correct.
Yeah, so I do know that it truly is a great group of Christian business leaders, and what a wonderful gift we have in our community for them to be able to hear from each other, hold each other accountable, serve each other.
And pray for each other.
And pray for each
So
other.
that's one of my favorite parts of being a C12 chair is just this opportunity to pray for business leaders. And I try to do that in every encounter I have, whether someone decides to become a C12 chair or not. I always try to part in prayer. And that is one of the things we close every day at C12, pairing up and praying for each other. And so I just can't stress enough, if you're a business out there, business owner, leader, or maybe just a mom or a dad, integrating prayer more deeply in your life, you will never regret spending more time in prayer.
Right.
So that is one thing we do together at C12 as well.
Right. Fantastic. So it's c12borderplex.com, or you can go to KELPradio.com, scroll down to that Impact Partner section, and you can find the link for C12 and all of the other KELP Radio business Impact Partners. We're so grateful to all these businesses, nonprofits, educational organizations, who have joined us in our journey to serve our community through this radio ministry. We're going to go into a break. Do not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
Testify.
So growing up, I actually grew up to be a Muslim. And it wasn't up until high school when I started going to church and I didn't know who Jesus Christ really was. It wasn't up until April of this past year in 2024 when I fully surrendered to Christ. I was an alcoholic. I was a man full of lust. I was just lost in the sinful nature of this world. And I didn't know how to comprehend certain things. I didn't know how to have a proper relationship. It was just tormenting me from the inside. But I'm here to tell you today that Jesus Christ changed my life for the better, serving at the capacity, knowing that I have a purpose and moving with that purpose because I know that the world is coming to an end soon. My name is Marvis Davis, and I'm here to tell you that if Jesus Christ did it for me, he could also do it for you too.
And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb
and by the word of their testimony.
desertvoice.media.
Greetings, KELP listeners. This is Terry Gray, pastor of Calvary Chapel, Sun City, and speaker on the Summons broadcast heard each weekday at 5 p.m. right here on this station. Calvary Chapel, Sun City is located at 960 West Borderland Road on the west side of El Paso. We hold services on Wednesday evenings at 7 and on Sunday mornings at 9 and 11. If you are without a church home, we would love to have you join us for worship and Bible study. You can find out more information about us on the web at www.ccsuncity.org.
We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
We are back, and you're listening to 915 Talk. I'm your host, Andy Frecka. Today we're with Tiffany Etterling. We're talking about what it's like to be a Christian business leader. At the beginning of the program, Tiffany, I was talking about how really there are so many people of great faith who are leading businesses. It's not just pastors or missionaries. I was a missionary for many years. One thing I found was when I transitioned more from missionary work into business leadership, I actually, this is maybe a little embarrassing to say, but I found myself praying more. And we need to remember that as the church, even as we see business leaders coming into our church, sitting in the pew next to us, that life is not necessarily easy for them. They're going through a lot of challenges, and really let's cheer on our brothers and sisters who are leading kingdom-minded businesses in our community. So you had a C12 meeting yesterday.
We did. We had our December Forum Day yesterday. We met from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. yesterday.
Okay, so you do that every day?
And no, we do that the third Thursday of the month. So one day per month, and as we grow, we'll have forums that meet on different days during the month.
Gotcha. And what was the topic?
So one of the things we talked about yesterday was we set some goals for 2026 for our personal life, and we looked at different areas of our personal life and what's 2026 going to look. But the other thing we talked about is something called an annual rallying cry.
An annual rallying cry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you like to know what that is?
Please.
So one of the things that a lot of businesses do in fourth quarter is strategic planning. So if your business is growing, it's really important to have a rhythm of looking at the coming year, looking at the next 3 to 5 years, and saying, where do we want to be and how are we going to get there?
Yeah.
And if you don't have a plan, you're probably not going to arrive where you want to arrive.
If you fail to plan, that's a plan to fail.
That's right. Good job. Good job. And we'll get some throw pillows with that.
Yeah.
Stitched on it. So strategic planning is really, really important. But let's go back to what we were talking about, change management. How are you equipping your team to understand what your plan is for the coming year? So it's really important to communicate that plan to your team. But one of the things you can do to really help connect that idea in your team's mind is to develop an annual rallying cry or an annual primary objective. And so you look at your strategic plan and you say, hey, we've got 10 objectives this year, 10 things we want to get accomplished. What's the common thread of those 10 things? And is there something that is inspirational and aspirational that we can use with our team to say, this is where we're going? And that way it begins to become part of every team meeting. Like, hey guys, remember, and when someone comes with a new idea and is like, hey, I think we should open a new branch on the Northeast or the West Side. And you say, okay, well, let's go back to our annual rallying cry. Does it support that? Oh, no, it really is outside of that. Okay, well, then we need to take a pause and we need to go back to our strategic plan. Whereas if it really, your annual rallying cry really supports that, then you're like, yeah, that seems like it's in alignment with where we want to go.
Right. So there's business leaders. You came together yesterday and everyone was sharing with each other a bit of what the plans were for next year?
Yeah, exactly. So we spent, actually, yesterday was a slightly more unique meeting where we had a little bit more time to actually help each other workshop and kind of share what some of our annual rallying cries are and what our primary objectives are, and say, well, does this rallying cry kind of fit with that? And, oh, wait, that one's too long. Maybe you should shorten. No one's going to remember that rallying cry. And a rallying cry is, we all remember Braveheart, right? What did he scream?
Freedom.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it was very short and simple, right?
Yeah.
It's one word. And a rallying cry is probably a couple of words, a little bit longer than that. But if it's 3 sentences long, the chances of your team remembering it is probably pretty low.
I feel like I need to interject here. It's very similar to a church or a nonprofit organization vision statement.
It can be.
Just the idea that ask people in the church if they know what it is, and if they can't say it, it's too long.
Yes.
Very often we want to put everything in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you're saying keep it simple.
Keep
your
it simple.
Annual rallying cry.
So one of the things when you go through chair training with C12 is that you're required to memorize the mission, vision, the core values, the doctrine statement, and the promise. And you have to recite each one of those while someone is holding a match before their fingers get burned. So, and then nobody's fingers get, no fingers are harmed in the making of that test. But it's one of the things that really every business should be able to do is at least your mission, vision, and core values. You should be able to say those in the time it takes a match to burn. But your rallying cry is another thing. And it's usually time bound. It's usually just for 1 year. Like, this is what we want to accomplish, so that at the end of the year you celebrate, like, hey, we did do this.
Yeah. It's this simple thing, and under that simple thing, what I want to say is very often we talk about simple things. It doesn't mean that they're easy.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a simple thing to bench press 350 pounds, but it's not easy.
It's not easy.
And under this simple idea, of course, there's many action plans and a lot of work that goes into it. So What would an example be of a annual rallying cry?
So an organization I was with recently, their 2025 annual rallying cry was effective plus efficient equals excellent. And so one of the things that they realized was that they really needed to make sure that everyone was working to maximum efficiency and effectiveness, and they didn't have processes built out that supported that. And so 2025 became the year where they defined excellence as being effective and efficient. And the number of meetings that those three words came up in with that organization, it was just astounding how well the team embraced that. And as they were like, okay, well, we could do A or B. Well, which one's more effective and efficient? Oh, B for sure. And so it helped them direct what they were doing and how they were making decisions.
Right.
Now, if that was their annual rallying cry every year, they might lose that connection to the client.
Yeah.
And so the next year, their annual rallying cry might be more client focused or more caring for employees, but it really is in response to the plan you've built for that year.
Right.
What is that common thread in the plan that you've built?
Right. Okay. So I think this is great for businesses. Because we're Christian radio, I'm also going to say it's great for churches.
Yes, absolutely.
In any nonprofit organization to say, hey, we have our overarching vision, why we're here as a church, why we're here as this nonprofit, why we're here as a business, but there are certain things we need to sharpen this year.
Yes.
And what will that be? Something that's maybe difficult, but simple and we can remember.
Yeah. It doesn't mean that you exclude other things. So you have your strategic plan and you say you have the things you need to do to get your job done every day, and you have special projects that you're working on, goals towards the end of the year. So it doesn't mean that you exclude anything that's not part of that rallying cry, but it is just people love to connect around a rallying cry, and it does keep people pulling in the same direction.
All right. So, Tiffany, I'm going to put you on the spot. We only have a little over a minute left. What is the annual rallying cry for C12 business forums in 2026?
I can tell you what the annual rallying cry for C12 Borderplex is.
Yeah, let's
So that
hear
would
it.
be my
That's
region,
what I wanna
my
hear.
territory.
I don't care outside of the Borderplex.
Build the foundation for multiplication.
Okay.
So
build a foundation for multiplication.
That's right.
Okay.
I believe that my vision is that C12 will impact every business every Christian business owner in the Borderplex region and beyond, and that every Christian business owner will know about the resources of C12 and have access to them. However, I have to build a foundation before I can begin reaching out to everyone. So that's mine.
Tell me in the 30 seconds how you're building the foundation.
Well, it's a lot of building out processes. It's finding team members to support me in that. A great bookkeeper would be part of that plan, but building out the processes involved in supporting multiple C12 groups. So what does that look like to serve my members well while also building new relationships with other people?
Love it. Tiffany, thank you for joining us today. Always enjoy these conversations. For our listeners, be sure to tune in for the 323 podcast, which you host tomorrow morning on this radio station at 10 a.m. If you're interested to learn more about C12, you can go to KELPradio.com, scroll down to that Impact Partner section, and C12 is right there. Again, Tiffany, thank you for joining us. As we always say, let's learn to love our city and love our neighbors. And also, let's learn to love the businesses in our region and the business leaders and give God in all of this, all of the glory. This has been 915 Talk. You have been listening to 915 Talk, a production of Desert Voice Media. In order to listen to previous editions of 915 Talk, just visit desertvoice.media. Let's learn together to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory.
This has